At least that's what they tell me.
This is the Big O Show.
Right? I mean, that's what it was yesterday. We're hoping that's what it is today. Good morning. Welcome aboard. Yes, we're up and early today. We're actually an hour earlier today on the program. Well, you know, that's how it is. Sometimes we got some flexibility. We got things to do, people to see, places to go to. So we figured we got to, kind of adjust a little bit the schedule. And so today we're actually going to go a little earlier, and we're going to start today at 10 o'clock. So that means we're going to end a little earlier. Still going to give you, pretty much a ton of talk, a ton of programming like we normally do. But, this time we're just a little earlier. So we're off a little earlier for you guys. And lots of things to talk about. Great win for the Heat last night, man. That was cool last night against the Sixers. The Panthers came back, and they took care of business against Toronto, which was good. Mark Pysyk. What are they, the hat trick cats? Is that what we got to call them now, the hat trick cats, because somebody gets a hat trick every week now?
It seems to be that way, right?
Yeah, this is like, I don't know, the 6th or 7th player that gets a hat trick.
I figured 5, 6 probably.
Yeah.
What's his name had 2 in a week, right?
Yeah. So I'm just saying, just kind of funky, man.
The last one, obviously the empty net. Nice steal though. Put himself in the right spot, falling down and throw it toward the net and got it in. It was beautiful.
No, it was a beautiful thing. I'm with you there. All the freaking way. That was a thing of beauty, as they say. And so we've got it going on here. We will carry you till about 2 o'clock. We'll get into a little bit of the Panthers and the Heat as the show goes on. I was going to ask you about this and kind of throw it out there to people, right? So, Bill, if I mention this to you, and if I mention to all of you out there, okay, I'm going to give you a list of names. All right, you tell me what comes to mind when I give you this list of names, right? And if you want to chime in, you can chime in on the YouTube chat board. If you're watching, you can chime in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, 786-322-1105, as always. So, Bill Parcells, Mike Holmgren, Don Shula, Dick Vermeil. What comes to mind when I give you those names?
Winners, Super Bowl.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, when you said Parcells, Dallas.
Parcells.
Taking away the stars. Taking away the star when he went to Dallas.
What does that have to do with all the other guys?
No. When you said Parcells, you said, what's the first thing? Now you
started. No, I'm talking about the names, bro.
Then you started
don't go into another that's not what I'm asking.
It's win.
I give you that. So you got Super Bowl win, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Winners get along with their team. Good teams. Teams prepared.
All right. Would you call them all Hall of Famers? Dick Vermeil, Shula, Holmgren, and Parcells. Of course, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. No doubt.
Okay. Andy Reid joined those guys.
Hands down. Well, he was already there, but that just solidified.
But not what I'm talking about.
Well, that's Super Bowl.
Because I'm still keeping you in the dark right now. All 5 of these gentlemen lost the Super Bowl and then won it with another team. Yeah. Dick Vermeil lost in Philly, won in St. Louis.
Raiders, the first wild card team, yeah.
Andy Reid lost in Philly, won in KC. Shula lost in Baltimore, won in Miami. Holmgren won in Green Bay, lost in Seattle. Parcells won with the Giants, lost with the Patriots. And it shows you the greatness, because if there's any doubts still left about Andy Reid, last night I was sitting there going, Andy is in an interesting company because he lost the Super Bowl with one team and won it with another. And so I said, let me go through the history because I started writing guys down, and I left Holmgren out. I couldn't think of it, so I went to the list. Hey, I'm 53, bro. I'm not going to remember everything. So I went to the list, and I found Holmgren also. I remembered all the other ones. So I thought I did all right, actually. So I remembered Holmgren. I put it to the list, and I'm looking at this list, and I'm going, there aren't a lot of guys that have taken two different teams to the Super Bowl, okay? And the fact that, and in all these cases, they lost it with one team and won it with another, which shows you the greatness of Andy Reid, because if you want to question Holmgren or you want to question Shula, you want to question Dick Vermeil or Parcells, I don't think we are, right? And there has been that question about Andy Reid. And I thought, that is some special company to be in, because Dick Vermeil was a hell of a coach, man. I'm old enough that I saw his run in Philly. That was one of the great defenses of all time, man. That was one badass defense in those days, okay? I mean, just a great, great Buddy Ryan defense before Buddy then went to Chicago and joined Mike Ditka to then win the title.
They supplanted the Cowboys teams that were awesome. Wilbert Montgomery, Harold Carmichael. They had a nice little team, man.
They had a fun offense, but that defense was special.
Bill was
Seth
a master.
Joyner and Reggie White and all those cats.
Yeah, man.
Crazy, crazy defense. And, Shula, obviously, with Unitas, came up short in Baltimore and then obviously built the Miami teams, and the rest is history with Shula. I don't need to defend him. Holmgren, same thing. Great Green Bay team, and then goes to Seattle and builds up another team that gets to the Super Bowl with Matt Hasselbeck, and they fall short. And then obviously Parcells had those great Giant teams, and then built up the Patriots to the point where they got to the Super Bowl. They just couldn't get over the hump. But, okay, you still got to the Super Bowl again with another team, which, again, to me, it's special company. You know what I mean? It's not the names that are there, these 5 names during the Super Bowl era, okay? I didn't go back to the NFL championships and all that stuff. I'm sure there are more names that we added back in time, but I went with modern day NFL, okay, from on. And those 5 names, that's special company that Andy Reid stepped into, and it shows you, just in case if anybody was kind of questioning it, the history of the game, there aren't a lot of people that can take 2 different teams to the Super Bowl. That's one hell of an accomplishment when you're able to do that. And on the flip side, by the way, John Fox lost in Denver and lost in Carolina. Okay?
There's another guy.
Now, but see, do you put John Fox with those guys?
Really good coach, solid coach, but no.
Right? That's what I'm saying. You've got to somehow win. You got to somehow win
to get over that hump. Yeah.
No, to be with these guys.
Well, yeah. But I don't even put John, even if he got a Super Bowl.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The conservative, boring-ass way he coaches. He coaches scared, I think, at times, is what he does. It's running game, punting, and defense. That's it. That's John Fox. Running game, punting, and defense. Anyway, but
there's one more guy that took 2 different teams and never won. Dan Reeves.
Yes. Atlanta and Denver.
Yep.
Yes. And then Mike Shanahan, right, won twice with Denver, but Kyle Shanahan has lost twice with Atlanta.
The scale's evened out. Dad's got 2 positives. Right. He's got 2 negatives.
I was going to get to the other side of the coin with those other guys there. You know what I mean? Because remember, Shanahan had the Raiders and also Washington, but he never got to a Super Bowl with any of those teams. With Denver, obviously, had those 2 great Denver teams that won the back-to-back championships.
Terrell Davis.
Yeah, but it shows you how special it is for a coach to get there with two different teams, but the ones that have busted through to win at least with one of those 2, it shows you how special this group is right here. And Andy Reid, by winning on Sunday, stepped in to that company with Dick Vermeil, Shula Holmgren, and Bill Parcells. It's pretty good stuff, man.
You know what
Pretty
else
good
it
stuff.
says, though? If you lose the Super Bowl, you know what I mean? It's not a knock on you. Look at that list, okay?
Right. Well, as long as you can come back and win one.
Right. You don't want to be – we've talked about it the last
You don't want
couple
to be
of days.
John Fox.
You don't want to be the guy that, yeah.
You don't want to be John Fox.
And what do they call it? Bridesmaid, never a bride?
Right. John Fox is that guy that, like, you never can call John Fox a bad coach. That would be stupid on your part. That would be insulting. But he's not a championship coach. You know what I mean? Because he's won in different places. He's been productive. He's been a really good assistant coach, too, as a coordinator. And so the guy's had success, but you never look at him like the elite coaches. You always said, yeah, solid coach, but, I think we can do better. It's that's how John Fox is. Like, he's not, Cam Cameron-like. He's not Adam Gase, okay? Let's not insult him that way.
I'm going to equivalent it
You know what I'm saying?
to you talking about there's a coach that, like, on the rebuild, starts your rebuild. He takes you to a certain level.
Amen.
And then there's a guy that comes in and finishes
the job. It's the guy that's got the goods to put you over the top. And Andy Reid wasn't considered that guy until Sunday. That finally a lot of people, I'm not one of them, I've always put Andy Reid in an elite area. I've always been a big Andy Reid supporter. I've never been the guy, Andy Reid, but no, I've never been that. Because you look at it, the guy, I didn't realize the number is 10 head coaches.
Look at the tree of coaches that he has.
I didn't know it was 10.
It's a man.
I just read that.
Is
10 guys
Is that
of
more
his.
than Walsh? Is that more than Bill Walsh?
I don't think anybody's done 10 ever. I don't even think Bill Walsh did it.
I think that's a safe assumption.
I don't think Lombardi did it. I don't think anybody's done 10.
That's a lot, man.
Dude, that's a lot of people that have become head coaches under you, bro.
A third of the league.
I mean, that's nuts, bro. No, you're over a third because it's you. You're 11. So yeah. I mean, that's I don't even get that. That's crazy. So this is a guy that was very Rodney Dangerfield, was not getting the respect he deserves. And so yesterday I was just having some fun. I'm thinking, what's this whole thing? He's won one and lost one with two different teams. Where does he stand? And when I brought out that list, I was like, whoa, that's a list. That's a list right there, man. That's an elite list of guys right there that if any of those 5 guys are your head coach, you're all right. You're doing all right. You got no problem overall. Just make sure you don't hire Parcells to run your football operations at this point in time because he's not really interested in that. But coaching, that's a whole different ball game.
I think you're better than all right,
Oh, no, I'm being facetious. I'm just, throwing it out there.
Everybody's looking at you like, they got that coach, man.
Yeah, they got that coach. Yeah, exactly. That's the way you're looking at it. There's no doubt. None of these teams were complaining when they had that coach because they had a hell of a coach overall. The Andy Reid thing kind of died out in Philadelphia because it was so long. So it gets to a point where, outside of marriages, right, and it still happens in a lot of marriages that you kind of fall out of love or whatever it is, and you kind of lose interest in people. But more often than not, you hope that, the person you marry, you're able to stay with them forever, right? Because that's kind of the plan. But everything else in life, there is time for change sometimes. Whether it's your job, whatever it is, different things that a habit that you normally do, some kind of a routine, whatever it is, you like to change after a certain amount of time, and it kind of wears out. And sometimes the voice gets stale, and that happened to Andy Reid in Philadelphia. But then he goes to Kansas City, and, the rest is history. Good for him, man.
I was going to say, you pointed it out in the past, like a coach being there 10, 12 years, does the speech have the same impact it gets worn and stale,
Right.
and it doesn't stir emotions like
No.
it used to, And
No.
I always thought, no, man, look at Shula, look how long he was there. But it makes sense, especially in today's world.
Oh, yeah.
The way the players are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You are absolutely right.
No, and now your attention span is so much shorter now, in general, with people. It's just one of those things that we kind of have to live with. You know it. I mean, I'm not telling any of you out there anything you don't deal with on an everyday basis. It's just a different way of thinking nowadays, right? And so there's always change that's going to happen. And I just, wanted to bring it up because I thought it was a really cool stat and a really cool group that Andy Reid ends up joining by winning that Super Bowl and proving his greatness, not just with the impact he's made with his coaches and players, but by taking two different teams to the Super Bowl and winning one out of those two. I just wanted to show you the elite company he is in, because all these gentlemen can never be questioned as great head coaches, and they all lost the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Because, there'll be the guy, yeah, but Andy didn't get it done in Philly. Okay, Shula didn't get it done in Baltimore. And Dick Vermeil didn't get it done in Philadelphia. And Parcells didn't get it done in New England. So what's your point? You know what I mean? When somebody ever tells you that, you got the ammo now that you could say, well, hey. Holmgren lost in Seattle, but he won in Green Bay. What's your problem? Lots of great coaches fail in the Super Bowl. Lots of Hall of Fame coaches fail in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And so now Andy joined company in two different ways. He joined a group of great head coaches, Hall of Fame head coaches that lost in the Super Bowl, and now he joins all the other Hall of Fame coaches that have won in the Super Bowl. It's pretty cool.
I'm going to say this. If there was anybody that needed Andy Reid to solidify his legacy and everything to win that Super Bowl, and it does put him over the top, but seriously, if you didn't think he was a good coach, if you didn't think...
Great coach. Great coach.
Awesome,
Hall of
amazing.
Fame. First ballot.
Yes.
Yeah. And he might have not have gotten in for the first ballot, dude. If he doesn't have that championship, he gets in.
Because there's a stigma.
It's like an Eli Manning thing. He probably won't get in first ballot, but he'll get in.
Eventually.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like second or third shot, and that's what would have happened to Andy Reid. He would have gotten in on the second or third shot because they would have gone but. Now with the championship and everything else, it's like, okay.
All those closed doors are blasted open.
You can't,
no question.
There's no question anymore. First ballot, let him in. He deserves to get in there.
Just
right?
If you didn't think he was great before,
right,
you need to do some more research and read up and get more study.
It's all about John Travolta, baby. Let him in. Just let him in. That's an old-ass reference. Holy crap. All right, 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the program, that's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, my man Bobby Nunez. And Bobby, I hope you're feeling better, my man. I know he's been fighting a cold. It's that cold that's hit a lot of people, and that thing sticks to you like freaking luggage, that kind of stuff. Man, I had some of it too. And then I had a cold, and then I mixed in 400 hours of broadcast consecutively, and that really kind of took a toll on me. I'm still kind of recovering. Like, my voice is still not completely back yet. But, it doesn't help when you just, hey, you're sick, but why don't you go do 11 hours of programming in one day? That was really smart on my part. Anyway, 786-322-1105 on the accidentlawfirm.com text line if you want to get in. You can also reach out to us on Twitter. That's at Big O Show. Follow us there. And, of course, you can reach out on the YouTube channel. I know we're on a little earlier today, so we surprised some folks. Don't forget to give us the thumbs up when you're watching on YouTube. Give us the love there while you're watching. Big O, do you know when the NFL is going to announce the awarded compensatory picks, Eugene and Homestead? That usually happens around the draft. at the combine. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. It happens at the combine. It'll happen at the end of the month. That's when it happens, Eugene. I forgot about that. Yes, combine, we will find out about that. Okay? So there you go. That news will come out when we're up in Indy. NHL Eastern Conference is stacked with good teams. May have 100 points teams miss playoffs. Hope Panthers continue good play. Hey, I'm with you, man. I hope they continue good play. And they're playing good against the bad teams. They've got to pick it up against the good teams overall. Now they've won 7 of 8, so it's a good thing right now. They're at least winning games and piling up the points. And they got to do that. What the Panthers cannot do is end up in the 7th or 8th spot. And then they're playing the top seed. And then I think this is a team that'll get bounced in the first round because I still don't think they have the goaltending and the defense they need in order to go deep into the playoffs. I'm still not seeing that.
It's ridiculous. You just won 7 of 8, and you're hanging around the 7th or 8th spot in the playoffs.
Oh, because it's just what the person said on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. It's a stacked Eastern. You've been saying that all year.
It's true. It's true.
So you got your own answer there.
Yeah,
but what are you going to do? I mean, there were opportunities throughout the year to stack up more points, and you failed. And your defense and your goaltending wasn't good enough, and this is the position that you're in. And they've had a good season, not a great season, but they've had a good season right now. We're expecting a little bit more from them, but we'll see what happens.
My problem, the same mistakes last night, the first 2 goals.
Yeah, but remember,
a guy camped out right in front of the net. We've been seeing it all year. The guy's standing there for seconds on end, and here comes a goal. It's like, man, we've been seeing this all year. Would somebody put a body on somebody in front of the net, please?
It's the defense for the Panthers is mediocre, and they're not physical at all. They're not physical.
Last night, you know what? I was thinking about the beginning of the game. We were out. I don't think we got our first shot on goal until after they had 10. I think it was 12.
Yeah.
But it wasn't physical, but we were playing close. We were right with the guy. There was nobody breaking away, and they did have 10 or 12 shots before we got our first, but it looked better, but it wasn't like totally physical. It was just closer defense.
It's a finesse team. The Panthers are a finesse team. One of your bands is coming to the state, to a place that you won't go to, and neither will I. Just announced Goo Goo Dolls are bringing the Miracle Pill Summer Tour with Lifehouse to Daly's Place in Jacksonville, August 26th. Too much echo in that place. Daly's Place, too much echo. Fix it, dude.
And that is a shame because that venue is so cool, man.
Super cool. One of the cooler venues around is Daly's Place. The only problem is the sound is just not good. No. Way too much echo, and it's bouncing around all over the place. But the Goo Goo Dolls are, if you've never seen the Goo Goo Dolls live, that's a fun band to go check out. I've seen them several times live. Let's see, what else do we have going on the program? Eric Edholm from Yahoo is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk all things NFL with Eric. So we'll get his thoughts on Super Bowl. We'll get his thoughts on the maybe draft too, because Eric does a good job of covering the draft also for Yahoo. So we'll get his thoughts on everything going on with Tua and get what he thinks if the Dolphins should take Tua at number 5. We'll get his thoughts on that. I saw them going back and forth on Get Up, talking about Tua this morning and should the Dolphins trade up and all that, and I'm just not for that. But I will tell you what I did hear, that the Brady rumors of where Brady's going to go, right? Miami, and then Stephen Ross is like, Miami, why? We're rebuilding. I don't think he wants to come here, and so that got squashed. And so Tennessee also apparently was getting kind of squashed too about him going there. And there have been other places that have been mentioned. So the latest one that's been mentioned has been San Francisco. And because when you have a crappy fourth quarter And you don't look like a difference maker. You look like a facilitator at best, which is what Garoppolo looked like. People will question, well, is he the guy? Can he take them to where they want to go? Because you have to make this decision if you're San Francisco with the quickness, because your window closes quickly. And eventually you're going to have to pay everybody. And if you get to the point where you have to pay them, you start to lose some. And then you're not that good anymore. So right now, San Francisco's pretty elite. Okay, I think we all would say that if they get a little better quarterback play out of Garoppolo, they can be a Super Bowl champion with that defense and that running game, and with Shanahan understanding that he has to run more, moron. Anyway, do what you're supposed to do. Do what you are, by the way. You're not a passing team. You don't have Pat Mahomes. When you don't have the gunslinger, don't go gunslinging. It's pretty simple. Okay? Garoppolo can pass the ball. He's a good passer, not a gunslinger. At least he hasn't been so far in, I think this is his 6th or 7th year. I think this is 7th year, actually. Yeah, I think this is his 7th year. So 7 years in, you have never proven to be a gunslinger. Pat Mahomes is a gunslinger. There's no two ways about it. Okay? He's going to test you. He doesn't care how good your defense is. He's going to test you. Okay? There's a difference there. And Dan Graziano, who works for ESPN, he went over a scenario that I did not know about. Okay? I had no idea the way San Francisco is structured Jimmy Garoppolo's contract, that they could easily sign Tom Brady.
The way the 49ers build their contracts allows them to change course midstream if they decide to change the plan, upgrade at a position. And Jimmy Garoppolo's contract is no exception. There are 3 years left. Not a dollar of it is guaranteed. As of April 1st, $15.7 million of his $23.8 million salary this year becomes guaranteed. But April 1st is 2 weeks after the start of free agency, and it's no coincidence that the 49ers do their deals with that date as the trigger. So if Tom Brady wanted to go there, if the 49ers decided that Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't the guy, that they were a better fourth quarter quarterback play away from winning the Super Bowl 2 days ago, they could move on from Jimmy Garoppolo, owe him no more money, and replace him at quarterback.
Wow.
Nice salary structuring. Yeah. Props to them.
That's how you win championships.
Hey, we know. Look, if you mess up your money, you're crippled. Okay?
If you hire Tannenbaum, you're crippled. Anyway, how about that? Can you imagine that? I mean, it's intoxicating. I mean, the whiner Dan Orlovsky is the most annoying person on television. His voice is annoying. He whines about everything. And I think it's because he also has kind of this millennial way of thinking. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what it is. But I got to tell you, what a whiner, dude. Holy moly, that guy's annoying on television. Maybe we should run a poll. Is Dan Orlovsky annoying?
He's stunted by his millennialness.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, whatever, bro. It's just, it's terrible. It really is. Really, really bad. Eric Edholm does an excellent job for Yahoo. He covers the NFL and the NFL draft. We'll talk Super Bowl. We'll talk Dolphins. We'll talk draft with Eric when we come back on the other side. Before we do that, let me tell you about VSS West Pines. Man, I love these guys. They're phenomenal. And whether we're talking about Jason or Jose or Tommy, any of the guys out there, of course, Sasha, the responsible one, you want to get out to VSS West Pines. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook at VSS West Pines. The website, vsswestpines.com, 12397 Pembroke Road. Hey, listen, they got an excellent selection of rolling paper from raw to smoking, hookahs from 1999 and up, CBD, flower, tinctures, edibles. They've got them all. Dry herb, vaporizers, water pipes, regular pipes, glass pipes, silicone pipes, grinders. They've got cleaners for your pipes. They've got exotic snacks from all over the world. Real cool e-juice for your vaporizers, incense, all of that. 12397 Pembroke Road. Tell them that Big O sent you. They will take care of you at VSS West Pines. We are ready to rock and roll. Eric Edholm, we love talking a little football with him, a little draft. You can follow him on Twitter like I and so many others do at Eric_Edholm. He's an excellent follow, by the way, on Twitter. And, of course, catch his work at Yahoo. Eric, good morning, my man. How you doing?
Everything's good. What's happening?
I am loving life, sir, here on a beautiful Tuesday, couple days after the Super Bowl. You know, I was talking about this. When you think of Parcells, Holmgren, Shula, and Dick Vermeil, what do they all have in common?
They were all, I don't know. I don't know what they were all GMs and head coaches. I'm trying to think.
Well, Andy Reid just joined all four of those guys, the only 5 coaches in Super Bowl history that have won a Super Bowl with one team and lost it with another.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and think about those names: Vermeil, Reid, Shula, Holmgren, and Parcells. All Hall of Famers right there. And if anybody was questioning Reid, I think we're done now, right? I would imagine that whoever was questioning Andy Reid and his greatness or Hall of Fame worthy, I think we're past that now, right? When you see the kind of company he joins, not just by winning a Super Bowl, but by having 2 different teams, even if one of them lost.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I thought it was a little bit absurd to kind of hold that against him. Yes, maybe that prevents us from saying he's one of the 4 or 5 best coaches of the post-merger NFL or something like that. I could kind of grasp that, but I mean, I never like to have 1 or 2 games decide a coach's career, unless it was pretty obvious that they were the reason why they didn't win. And I don't know that you can say that about Reid's previous Super Bowl loss. I know they moved at a glacial pace on that penultimate drive or whatever, but still, I have such a high level of respect for Andy Reid, and you see his coaching tree, and it's clear the rest of the NFL does too. So many of his former assistants have become head coaches, and it's been a more successful tree, I would say, overall than that of even Bill Belichick. Now, I know that's an indirect thing, but still, I mean, we're talking about one of the best offensive minds and quarterback developers in the league's, recent history or whatever. So, all hail Andy Reid. I think he's going to end up with 250 plus wins, maybe multiple Super Bowl victories if they can get back again. And yeah, he's absolutely deserving of all the praise he's getting.
And like you said, it wasn't his fault on the loss. It's not his, he's not the one throwing up in the huddle. Or when you talk about, hey, why you lost because of a coach, Kyle Shanahan, that ends up happening. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan will have to carry that. And that's the one, Eric, now for Kyle, that he's got to live with that demon for a while. He's going to, because of what happened in Atlanta, now what happened here, he's got to question a lot of things that he's doing, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the Atlanta case, he obviously trusted Matt Ryan a great deal during that MVP season. I think I could understand why people were upset they didn't run the football. He got aggressive, though, and that's what people are always seemingly crowing for. They always want aggression until it comes time to run clock, right? So in that situation, if Devontae Freeman picks up a blitz the way he should have, it was a missed assignment and a crucial one, the Falcons probably win the Super Bowl. They don't, the Patriots don't get that turnover. So, I kind of wasn't on the same page as everybody else with that one. In this situation, I think you can absolutely, second guess the way the end of the first half was played out. Feeling good about being tied with a quarterback who's overcome 2 double-digit deficits the past 2 games. That doesn't sit so well with me. And they called their timeouts too late. I know the missed call against Kittle looms large, but had that happened 30, 40 seconds earlier, which is possible because of the way they handled the clock, they could have called the first timeout on defense with the 1:45 range. That I have an issue with, and it comes down to his lack of faith, I would suggest.
And Garoppolo.
But still, I feel like they had to know that stealing a possession there at the end of the first half would have been crucial, especially getting the ball first in the second half. And the third quarter was really where they, flexed their muscles on the Chiefs. So it was a tough game flow there when you look back at those missed opportunities.
Eric Edholm from Yahoo Sports joining us. You can follow Eric on Twitter at Eric_Edholm. Eric, all right, so obviously we're in South Florida, my brother, and the Dolphin Nation is awaiting this draft like no other. They are at number 5. A lot of mocks have them taking Tua. What do you say to that? Would you take Tua at number 5, knowing the injury history?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it would take them seeing some very positive results from the medical reports they receive, from any workouts that Tua is able to do before the draft. I think there would need to be a layer of insurance that perhaps even goes beyond just re-signing Ryan Fitzpatrick. So, I mean, if you're going to go that high and possibly trade up to get him and give up some of that valuable draft ammo that you've been squirreling away now for a year plus, you better be right. You better feel darn good about things. And the good thing that I think we could agree on is that you wouldn't need to roll Tua out there week 1, right? There's no sense of urgency in having him play week 1 if you've got an established starter or bridge guy, you know what I mean? So it's a fascinating possibility. I would maybe be a little reticent to move up to 3 and maybe try to call the Lions' bluff if they have another offer. If they feel like Justin Herbert is a better option, they could even possibly move down a few spots. So there's so many directions they could go. And the veteran quarterback route, somebody other than Fitzpatrick, can't be ignored. We'll see if that means Tom Brady or Cam Newton or one of those type of guys, or whether it's somebody a little lower. The possibilities are really endless, and it's really hard to project how that's going to all go until we have more information.
Eric, for me, I don't give a rat's ass what the prognosis is. I don't care how healthy you tell me he is. I don't want to even draft him at 5. But there's no way in the world I would trade up for that guy at all, okay? Because you've got 4 lower body injuries already. So you're going to a league that hits harder, plays more games, and you couldn't stay healthy behind an All-American line. I think it's asinine to trade up for this guy. I really do. Would you actually do that? Would you actually trade up for that guy if you were in charge? Would you trade up for him?
It's going to be tough to justify. I mean, obviously they'd have to have sterling medical reports and feel like, as you mentioned, not only the hip fracture and dislocation that's being repaired now, but also the tightrope surgeries that have had to be performed on each of his ankles. That suggests that maybe he's got a little bit more of a brittle body, that he is more injury prone in general. I hate that term injury prone because, bad luck happens to really good athletes all the time. But when you see those types of injuries time and time again, that obviously raises the red flag a little bit. So, yeah, sitting there at 5, if you're able to get him to fall in your lap, knowing that the Lions probably aren't taking him at 3, not 100%, but probably not, and that the Giants, having just drafted Daniel Jones, aren't going to do it. There's always the possibility of somebody leapfrogging you, but yeah, I would kind of view it, it's hard to say it this way, but if I'm Chris Greer and Brian Flores, I would kind of view it of, if he's there at 5, great, but we have a plan B and we have a plan C too. Let's look at Jordan Love and let's look at Justin Herbert. They've done a ton of work on Justin Herbert. I mean, I can report that with, very good confidence that I've learned over, the course of this past season, is that they've had plenty of games to look at for Herbert, 43 college starts or whatever that number is. They've done their work on him going back a couple of years. So I wouldn't rule him out as a possibility, even if that's not the guy some Dolphins fans want.
I think actually there's some people in that building that like Justin Herbert. I really do.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, in the building, absolutely.
Yes,
Yep,
yes.
there's no question about that.
Yes, there's people in the building for the Dolphins that do like Justin Herbert. Do you like Justin Herbert? Would you take him at 5? Because the talent is one thing. The maturity scares the crap out of me, Eric.
The maturity with Herbert, I don't know if that's exactly the word I would use, and I'm not trying to. I hope you don't think I'm calling you out. I think
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I misunderstood. Okay, yeah, I mean, the thing about Herbert is that he's an exceptionally smart kid. Some people have suggested that he's a little too introverted to be that, that alpha male team leader or what. I don't know how much people value that. It's going to depend on, every head coach, every franchise is going to be a little bit different. Maybe it's the kind of thing Flores doesn't see, or I've been around Tom Brady and I don't see that same quality in him. That's possible. Absolutely. We can't ignore that. But, at the same time, he has a ton of college starts. You've seen him make, stand up in the face of pressure and handle himself pretty darn well. I don't think he's an exceptional prospect. I think there's always going to be kind of a ceiling. You're always going to be left wanting a little bit more from him. But I think you can win football games with him. And I think he's got a skill set that really wasn't fully unleashed at Oregon. They always seemed so conservative with him. And they always felt like, let's just throw, 10 yards to the line of scrimmage and let's keep everything kind of, you look at the Auburn game this year, leading 21-3 and kind of going into a shell with, possibly a top 10 draft pick at QB. That just felt crazy to me. So, was it coaching down there? Was it up there, I should say? Was it his own limitations? I hate to even throw this out there, but he gives you a little bit of a Ryan Tannehill vibe. And, how do Dolphins fans feel about that? He's a player that didn't play well until this past year, really, consistently. But he had some moments as a rookie. And so, I don't know. It's kind of a mixed bag, I guess, sometimes.
My problem, well, I don't know if him and Ryan are the same guy because I think Ryan is a guy that is a facilitator on his best day. I don't think he has it in him to elevate others, to take over a game. When chaos happens, that he rises above it. He needs everything to kind of be perfect, Eric. He's got to have the line, give him time, and the running back has to be rushing. But if there is no run game, then, you're not going to be able to really survive with this guy. I think Herbert can actually, like you saw him take off in that national championship game, I think he can do some things that Ryan doesn't do with his arm, actually. I think he can make some plays. My problem is I haven't seen a lot of those plays out of him. I haven't seen him take over games. That's the thing about Herbert, that it's like what you said. Is it more about that he kind of, went with what the coaches wanted and kind of stayed conservative and that they never unleashed the Kraken, or there is no Kraken inside of him? You know what I'm saying? With Ryan,
absolutely.
With Tannehill, I know there's no Kraken in there. There's never going to be a Kraken. In fact, on that run that Herbert got 19 yards, that's a sack for Ryan Tannehill. He doesn't see that coming right away, and he takes the sack. Whereas that kid saw the blitzer like right away off the snap, and he didn't waste time looking downfield. He darted and took off. That instinct, Ryan Tannehill doesn't have.
Yeah, I mean, I think you may have a point there. I mean, I Herbert is the type of guy who like Tannehill could step right in and play. I mean, I think there were people questioning Ryan Tannehill, 19 college starts as a quarterback, coming in and said, is this guy ready from the get-go? He was. I mean, that's the thing that I think people, was he great as a rookie? No. I mean, he stepped in and handled himself moderately well, I would say. He never seemed to grow. And so I guess that's where, my limitations with Herbert are, have we seen the best of him? He was pretty darn good in 2017. We were talking about him being the number one pick, in the 19 draft back then. In the 2019 draft. So, I think also there's the sense of the more you see a quarterback like that, the more holes you can kind of poke in him a little bit, and the more we can kind of accentuate the potential weaknesses and stuff. I think you raised a decent point about the instincts there. The one thing that I've noticed, and I'll have to kind of dig on the stats a little bit to find out, he seems very unsure against zone defense. Now, not all zones and not every situation, but it's almost like he doesn't trust himself to kind of make those space throws a little bit. He'd rather see man coverage and find the mismatches. So, I don't know what that is. If that's just something that, that has to work through a little bit. I mean, that's one of those things that always kind of stuck out in tape. Seemed like a lot of his turnovers and bad throws and misreads were against zone, which is interesting. I mean, that's not a bad or a good thing. It's just one of those things that you don't often see to that degree.
Eric, give me another quarterback that you like in this draft. One or two other guys that we're not talking about, the top guys out of, we talked Herbert, Tua, and obviously Joe Burrow's not even in the mix. But what else? Give me another guy that you like.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, I don't know that it's a great quarterback year. I think it's going to be an okay year because of the Burrow factor, the potential of Tua. We mentioned Herbert. Jordan Love is a total wild card in my opinion. I got to see him live once this year. I've watched, I think, 6 or 7 games of his this season and a couple more from 2018. He looked better in 18. He had a better offensive cast. He had a coaching staff he was very familiar with. He took a big step up as a passer. This past season, it felt like he didn't trust his receivers. He didn't trust his play calling, and it led to a lot of turnovers and a lot of mistakes. It led to some bad mechanics, kind of doing Aaron Rodgers stuff, throwing, flicking it sort of 3/4 while off balance. Well, guess what? Aaron's kind of got a few skins on the wall. He can do that. I know you're in the Mountain West there, but let's get back to our basics a little bit. So I think he could use a year of just drilling and watching a starter, go to work and see all the little things that go into it. He's a really talented kid. I just don't know if I believe in him as a rookie starter. So after that, it gets a little dicey. Do you think Jake Fromm's, step backwards this year?
I don't buy him. I just don't buy him.
I don't hate him. I don't hate the player. He has a very defined ceiling, but you can win with guys like Alex Smith and those sorts of players. I just don't know that he's ever going to be a difference maker. He's the type of guy the Patriots could replace Tom Brady with and be fine with, but I don't know if you're talking about a championship quarterback. And after that, it's a lot of dart throws. The depth of this quarterback class is not all that great.
What do you think about two projects that I like, early third-day guys, maybe even mid-late day, third-day guy? One is Nate Stanley out of Iowa, and the other one's Kevin Davidson out of Princeton. I saw Kevin Davidson at the East-West Shrine, and I never watched Princeton football. Who the hell watches Princeton football?
Right.
But, dude, that kid's got an arm, bro. I like it. And he's got moxie. He just carries him. He has a little swag to him, the way he carries himself, and obviously he goes to Princeton, so he hits the books.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought him up. You are the first radio spot I've been on this year where, it hasn't been me bringing him up. I've mentioned him a couple times, but you're the first person on the other end to mention him.
Wait a minute. What radio guy have you gone on with in the country that goes to the East-West Shrine and the Senior Bowl every year? Which one? Because that's last time I checked, I'm the only radio guy in the country for 21 years going to the East-West, the Senior Bowl, and the Combine. So that's probably why. Give me at least a little bit of credit on that, because I'm actually.
I'm giving you a lot of credit.
I'm actually there.
Yeah,
unlike the other radio guys.
Yeah, some of them are there for the the lap dances and barbecue and whatever else. But you're right. No, I mean, Davidson's a fascinating story. He's a big athletic kid. He had to wait his turn at Princeton. They had 2 NFL players. Yep. The one that the Chiefs turned into a tight end, John Lovett, and the guy before, and I'm just blanking on his name. Guys who've been on NFL rosters or practice squads before. So, both of them won, league awards and things like that. So it was understandable why he had to wait until this past season. And I'm like you. I saw a game early in the year. I said, wow, this kid throws a nice ball. I mean, he's a big, good-looking kid. when you watch the Dartmouth game, I know we're getting a little deep here, but he throws an early pick. He takes a sack. The game went to heck right away. And I love the fact that even though he didn't play well overall, it was kind of what you saw from Mahomes in the Super Bowl, which was this guy took punches like nothing and kept battling and kept fighting and kept trying to kind of think his way through the game. It was impressive from a mental toughness standpoint. And I said to myself, this guy is absolutely going to end up in an NFL camp. I don't know if he'll get drafted, maybe not. But I absolutely think someone's going to see this guy along the way and say, I can work with this dude. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Fitzpatrick or Ivy League QB or,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you that there's a spot for him in a league that lacks developmental quarterbacks. So, yeah, and Nate Stanley's a big athletic kid, too. I mean, he was like a four-sport guy in high school, smart, well-spoken. Another dude who was kind of held back by the coaching staff in a lot of ways. Very, very basic sort of passing offense and not asking him to stretch the field. You had moments where he looked really good, but yeah, he's kind of in that 4th, 5th round range, I would say right now, and somebody who's going to be able to handle himself from a mental standpoint.
And I'll tell you, Davidson's going to get Davidson and Morgan, the kid from FIU. Both guys are going to get drafted late, but they will get drafted. The only thing I would tell you, Eric, that I saw from Davidson that I think he needs to adjust is the touch pass. Because he likes to put so much mustard.
Everything's a fastball, yep.
Yeah, he has so much of mustard on the ball that he has to learn how to take off. And, he has to learn the changeup, in other words. He's really great with the fastball.
Yep, and
he's got to learn with the changeup. You know what I'm saying?
And you mentioned Morgan, too. I mean, I know you were there. I wasn't at the East-West Shrine game. I had a prior commitment. But, he made some throws down there, and I watched some of the practice tape. And you go, yeah, this is the guy that I wish we would have seen more of during the regular season. That ankle injury clearly affected him. He didn't move well in the pocket, has a little time to rest up. I think he looked, like he moved and was a little more confident down there. And he can make a lot of throws. He was better last year than this season, which may hurt him a little bit. But there are absolutely, there were 28 teams that interviewed him down in the East-West Shrine game. So it was clear they had identified the couple of quarterbacks who really opened their eyes a little bit. And James Morgan, I think, will end up being, late 5th to undrafted range. I mean, he could go – I think he'll get picked, but you never know.
All right, so let's geek out here. This has been my plan from the get-go. Because they talk about 2 at 5, even though I'm not a fan of it, okay? But I get it. I understand that we're so freaking jaded down here, Eric, with the whole Drew Brees thing. We didn't take him over Jamar Fletcher. And then the second go-around, it's him and Culpepper, and then the rest is history. And so we're so jaded down here that everybody's saying, well, what if he's the next Drew Brees and all that stuff? Okay, fine. All right, I'll live with it. You want to take him at 5. He's injury-prone. Go ahead. I say go Shanahan, go Jimmy. Jimmy took Steve Walsh because he didn't believe in Troy Aikman. Shanahan took Cousins because he didn't believe in RG3 because that was the owner. I say do the same thing, that if you're going to draft this kid, then take Love in the second or take Nate Stanley or take Davidson. Get me a second quarterback just for the hell of it. You got 14 picks. Dedicate 2 of them to quarterbacks. No big deal. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting possibility. In fact, it's funny you mentioned that, too, because a couple of weeks ago I was starting to kind of churn some draft story ideas that I could throw out there. That was one of them, the teams that have drafted multiple quarterbacks in a single year. There aren't a lot of them. Like you mentioned a couple of the ones that obviously Dallas is a little different because it was a supplemental draft, but it's a fair point, right? They used significant ammunition on both guys.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It was a first rounder, by the way. That was first round that they spent on Steve Walsh.
Yeah.
They spent a first round supplemental pick on him, all right?
Yeah, and then they got a first rounder, I think, in
Chicago.
Stuff back from the Bears when they traded him. So, I mean, people are always sort of looking for those types of opportunities, but I don't necessarily think that they always present themselves, right? And it's got to be a situation like this where, assuming Fitzpatrick is back in the mix, right? You know he has a 1-year future there. It's not like we're back. Saying, okay.
Yeah, right.
And with all that draft ammo, assuming they don't make a bunch of bold trades up or trade into next year, why not? Why wouldn't you? There is that feeling of what if the lower guy is better than the top, the one we take up top. I get that. But I had a draft guy, a national scout a couple of years ago mentioned to me, we're always looking to protect our best assets and investments. And it was a quote that always just it sounded like it was out of a business, model that, came from nothing from the draft world and was sort of filtered in there. And it made perfect sense, right? Everyone says, oh, we need this, we need that. Yes. But what happens when your star pass rusher goes down? Do you have that third guy who can step up? What happens when your left tackle goes down and you're all pro? You have to have somebody behind him. But if the drop-off is so significant, then you're in deep trouble. So it's like the Ravens if they lost Lamar Jackson. Well, what do you do now? So I am all in favor of, the idea of buttressing that pick with a later one.
All right, Eric, before I let you go, Eric Edholm, by the way, from Yahoo, covering the NFL and the NFL draft. Follow him on Twitter at Eric_Edholm. All right, Eric, this is the main reason why we brought you on. We know you have the insight on Tom Brady. All right, we know you're tight as hell with TB12. So where does he end up, man? Does he end up in San Francisco? Does he end up in Tennessee? Will Chicago get smart and sign him? Or does he go back to the Patriots because this is all a power play against Belichick? Because that's what I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of interesting little teases the last couple of days with Tom's media stuff and, social media stuff and everything. The answer is I don't know. Everybody kind of talked a couple months ago, hey, what about the Chargers? I never felt like that was a great spot for him because, yes, they have weapons. No, they don't have an offensive line. And
Dean
I think
Spanos?
Tom would
He's
sit
going
there
to
and
play
say,
for Dean Spanos? I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Oh, come on.
Exactly.
Or
I never believed
bowl cut Mark Davis. Come on. I listen, I know Gruden likes 400-year-old players. I know he's into making his team really old all the time, and Tom Brady would definitely help out that age group. But come on, he's not going to go play for bowl cut Mark Davis. That's not going to happen.
I think it's a possibility. Do I think it's at all his first choice? No, I don't. I think Tom wants to see what the options are. I really believe that he's in the fact-finding portion right now. In the next 38 days, we'll have some clarity, obviously, but or whatever the number is, something like that, until we have to have the Patriots get slammed with about $14 million in dead cap money if they don't sign him. So obviously there's some urgency on the New England end of things. With Josh McDaniels back there, that to me is a factor we can't overlook. I suspect there's a side of Bill Belichick that says, I would be okay with moving on because every player has an expiration date. Committing that much of the cap, you heard Robert Kraft talking years ago about 15, 20% of the cap to a quarterback. That's kind of the going rate these days. I mean, 30+ million, that's about where we're at. So I don't know. I still say New England is going to be the most reasonable or understandable destination for him. I cannot rule out the Raiders, though, because they could make an offer where he goes, wow, geez, do I take this and become the savior of the city for a year or two? So I agree with your reasoning there. I just can't completely rule it out. So we'll see.
Well, that'll make my trip to Vegas this year for Dolphins Raiders. I mean, that'll make it fun because, because it's now a law, right? Now that we added a team, now that we added a team in Vegas, it's a law for the rest of us in the country to say, hey, when our team is going to Vegas, we got to go to Vegas, baby. Come on.
Absolutely. Oh, and the NFL is absolutely counting on that as they build up a local, fan base, and as they try to, I've talked to Raiders fans who say, yes, absolutely, I'll be going to half the home games or something just because it's in Vegas. So that's what the NFL is counting on. This is different than the Chargers moving to LA or whatever. I mean, I don't know. It just makes that kind of. You're hoping for 2 or 3 years that, right, they play the Steelers fans are coming to town, they play the Packers fans are coming to town. It's not going to work out perfectly, but it could be, a good setup. The thing with the Raiders, they realize they have to get some buzz.
Oh, yeah.
And so Tom Brady would bring the buzz. That's
Eric,
the one factor.
And the flights from Oakland or whatever and L.A. to Vegas are super cheap. In fact, we're broadcasting the 3 days of the draft. We're at a Tommy Rockers, a bar that's going to have 300 Dolphin fans. So we're gonna be doing the draft, but we're gonna go see Pearl Jam in Oakland on the 18th and 19th, and we ended up flying. We're gonna fly from Miami to Oakland, and then we're gonna Oakland to Vegas. Dude, that flight was $70 from Oakland.
Yeah,
to Vegas.
exactly. I was gonna say about $100, right?
Yeah.
That's what it. Yeah. And there's like 8 a day too, so you can
right.
You choose your departure time. You get an extra night play in the slots, right? You go in on Sunday morning, watch your game. I mean, it's a fascinating destination for the NFL. The draft, I'll be out there, I believe, as well, and so we'll have to hook up. I can't wait.
Well, you got to come. You got to come to Tommy Rockers and join us. We're going to be there 3 whole days doing the draft from beginning to end. So you're welcome to come on out. We'll treat you to lunch and a little, you want to have a brewski or two. And join us on stage, bro. We're going to have like 300 fans watching it. It'll be like a dolphin twisted draft, obviously, but still, we'll be talking about it in general. And, man, I would love to have you come by. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll be probably on set for the first round and then writing for the others, but we'll see. I mean, I'll carve out time and make sure I head over there if I'm out there.
Please. Eric, thank you for joining us, my brother. We look forward to having you on again as always, and I always love having you on talking some football, man. Really appreciate the time.
Oh, pleasure is mine. Yeah, thank you so much. We'll talk to you real soon.
You got it, baby. Be good. There you go. Eric Edholm, man. Good stuff there. He's a really good follow. He's actually a really fun follow on Twitter, okay? Just if you're a Twitter person, follow Eric_Edholm. He does a lot of funny stuff, and he usually finds something funny out of something that's going on in sports or whatever, and he'll tweet it out. He's got a good sense of humor, so you'll enjoy him as a follow. All right, 1 hour down already. What a joke! I mean, this is a 1 hour.
You're actually past the hour, sir.
We're past the hour. All right, let's go. Hour number 2 coming back right here on the Big O Radio Show.